Hey ladies and gentlemen, Richard Kenobi here, and here we are, the look at you've all been looking forward to, and let's not waste any time. This is Nightwing versus Winter Soldier. Now of course this will be the next beatdown from Bad in the Sun, that'll come out in a couple months after Green Ranger versus Ryu, so let's get into it. Now of course I will be comparing these two side by side since these two are very similar and are practically one and the same, but they don't have the same name. And of course, I will determine who I think will win the fight at the end. So, let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? Now, we'll start off with Winter Soldier. James Bucky Buchanan Barnes was introduced in Captain America #1 on March 1st, 1940. And when he first appeared, he was the first person to figure out that Steve Rogers was Captain America. So, Captain America decided to make him his partner. Now, these two were best friends. They have been best friends for a long time, and, you know, who else to be his sidekick other than Bucky? Now, of course, when, Bucky was already a great scout, but when he trained under Captain America, he became a master in hand-to-hand combat, in acrobatics, and in various other martial arts. But, as Winter Soldier, after having his arm blown off, apologies, and being captured by the Red Skull and the Russians, he became a Soviet soldier, and used for their various assassinations. But, thanks to him breaking out of their control by Steve Rogers in the present time, he was able to become his own man. Now, of course, Winter Soldier still retained his mastery of hand-to-hand combat, martial arts, expert marksmanship. He's also an expert assassin and spy, and he speaks many different languages, including ours and various others. And of course, his left robotic arm not only is just for looks, it grants him superhuman strength, super reaction time. It has an EMP discharger, which can disable anything that uses electricity, and, of course, it has an energy projection. It can fire projectiles or energy, depending. And lastly, it has a disguiser. It can disguise itself as a human flesh and blood arm. And if someone is able to get it off of him, it can still function without Bucky. So very impressive. Now, the Winter Soldier that's not the only thing he's known for. He is, of course, known for doing impossible assassinations. This is a guy who has done assassination after assassination. And, of course, he is, if going by his age, he's actually in his early 30s. Because, you see, when he was at least 28 years old, Bucky was captured by the Russians, and they reprogrammed his mind, erasing everything and making him a weapon under their control. And of course, each time he would finish an assassination, they would put him in suspended animation, or cryo-freeze, and each time they needed something done, they would thaw him out and get him doing it, and then can't even talk today. Then they would rinse and repeat. But there was only one time where Bucky actually questioned himself, is he doing the right thing? And when that happened, he went berserk. So then they locked him in suspended animation and never thawed him out again until he was discovered and got out. And of course, Hydra decided to use him. But as I said, he had a free will of his own. Now, he eventually did take up the mantle of Captain America in 2007 when Steve Rogers was killed. And he was not like Steve in any way. That was pretty pretty clear to everybody, even the Avengers. And when he did become Captain America, he was, of course, given Steve's vibranium shield, and he used various throwing knives, guns, grenades, and an AK-11. And the Avengers started to wonder, is Bucky right to have that mantle? So, he pretty much went crazy. His methods were crazy, and he started killing people because he wanted to keep the civilians safe. So he sort of went a Jason Todd route, let's go with that, but to his credit, Jason Todd didn't come back from the dead 2 years later, I believe. But, yes, so Winter Soldier is a very dangerous opponent. The last thing you want to do is fight this guy. So, yes, that's the Winter Soldier. His skills are very proficient. I like that he's not just a one-trick pony. This is a guy who can adapt to anything. However, the only thing he lacks is technical ingenuity. He's not the best tactician in the Marvel Universe. He's barely a tactician at all. He mainly relies on just one shot, one kill, boom, mission done. So, yes. Now let's go ahead and get into arguably the fan-favorite DC character ever, Richard Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing. Now, of course, Dick Grayson made his appearance in Batman Detective Comics number 27, and I would want to say maybe around 1944. And of course, you know, when he started out, Dick Grayson's origin goes like this. If you already know this, then you can fast forward to this part. Past this part, my bad. Dick Grayson was, of course, a part of the greatest acrobatic team in all of the DC Universe, known as the Flying Graysons, known for doing unstoppable and near-death defying acts in Haley's Circus. But one night, his parents were killed by a man named Tony Zuko, who thought revenge and had revenge on them. And of course, after seeing his parents killed, Bruce Wayne decided to take him up as his ward, or adopted son. And he saw a lot in Dick Grayson. He reminded him of himself. So, Dick Grayson became a master acrobatic. Now, even at a young age, this kid was able to do a quadruple dozen somersaults. In fact, he has been regarded as the greatest acrobat in the DC universe, and that title does not fail, because literally, this guy favors acrobats over anything else. Now, of course, he's not just a one-trick pony, but after he became Nightwing, he went through a lot. He, of course, mastered 7 martial arts, and those include, let me get it up on my iPad here. Sorry if you see me. Oh, okay, here we go. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's taking a while to load, people. Shigento, Karate, Miwei, Thai, Judo, Kung Fu, Shaolin, Jeet Kune Do, Wing Chun, and of course, Capoeira, which is actually Aikido, but various different. Sorry if I pronounced those last titles wrong. It's hard to see this thing. But anyway, so yes. Now, and also, his suit has gliders, which allows him to glide in the air and, of course, fly for an unlimited amount of time. He is, of course, Nightwing is pretty much the peak of physical human condition. This guy can do anything. You know, he, of course, has endurance, stamina, and, of course, he has minor strength. I wouldn't say it's superhuman, but it's close enough. And, of course, he has 2 exterminator sticks, which, of course, can have various jolts of electricity, sort of like super tasers, but more advanced. And these things are forged of an unbreakable polymer, meaning they cannot be broken, not by anything. And these things have taken so many hits. And of course, he has various gas pellets, grapple lines, a grappling gun, and wingdings, which is his version of batarangs, but shaped in Nightwing symbols. And of course, he speaks many different languages, like Winter Soldier, And overall, he has the most impressive feats I've ever seen. There are so many. He has, of course, led the Teen Titans, the Outsiders, and he led the Justice League. He's, of course, the best tactician, second only to Deathstroke and Batman. Of course, he is a pretty damn good acrobatics, like I said. And he eventually took up the mantle of Batman. However, he had trouble before he officially became Batman, he had trouble taking up the role because he didn't want to become Bruce. That was the way. He couldn't be Batman because that would require he be just like Bruce. And he couldn't. But when he officially did become Batman, he was very different. He was not like Bruce or Terry McGinnis. He was a very fun Batman. He enjoyed his work. He actually was more capable than Bruce. And, you know, he was a very good detective. Now, he is, of course, a detective, you know, but he's not as great of a detective as someone like Bruce or Tim Drake. So, yes, Nightwing is very, very challenging. Of course, this is a guy who can do somersaults like that. Now, both their skills seemed evenly matched. The fact that they're both masters at martial arts, they've both been taught by the best of the best, their mentors. And speaking of that, they've both become their mentors. Bucky has become Captain America, but a very different and more controversial Captain America. Dick Grayson has become Batman, but a very different, you know, enjoyable and overall better Batman. But that's up for debate. So, as far as who do I think would win, well, that's a tricky one, because this is strength versus acrobatics. Because here's the thing, I mean, Nightwing's stamina sticks would probably stand a chance against Winter Soldier's arm, and it would be impossible for the EMP to disable those things because, well, let's face it, those things are pretty much unbreakable polymer, and, you know, it's hard to disable something like those. Now, what do I mean by this specifically? Well, if he was able to grab a hold of Iron Man and disable his suit, that would be no problem. But Nightwing's stamina sticks can't resist EMP charges. It's been shown many times before. So, yes, so I think it will be a close fight. But let's set up the scene. Let's say it takes place in the scene that were presented in Bat and the Sun's pictures. And of course, you know, these two go on the attack. Nightwing, of course, is using his acrobats to stay away from Winter Soldier because he realizes early on that Winter Soldier has the strength factor, and he's very dangerous. And Winter Soldier actually able to get a few blows on Nightwing and, you know, push him back on his foot. And Nightwing goes on the attack, attacking with quick speed with his stamina sticks, and overall just overwhelming Bucky. But Bucky, of course, pushes on, using his various weapons to try and get something. But Nightwing is, of course, too fast and too agile to let one of those bullets or grenades take him down. So the fight still presses on, and it's really, really close. It seems like anybody could win. But then, out of nowhere, Nightwing uses the shadows to his advantage, and he jumps down and attacks Bucky with the hit so hard it knocks him unconscious. So therefore, I declare Nightwing the winner, and my personal pick to win this fight. Well, thank you all for watching this. This was a great fight. I'm sorry if I didn't go into much detail as I've done with my other lookouts, but understand this, guys. These two have a lot and lots of feats, and they're both arguably the greatest characters in their respected universes. So, yes, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and until then, guys, this is Richard Kenobi saying, may the Force be with you. I'll see you guys for my next video.